Today's alumni career story is from Simon Guild. Simon was CEO of MTV Europe as they grew from 1 to 75 channels and then embarked on a portfolio career as a chairman and board member of startup and growth companies. So, looking at your list of board commitments, Simon, I counted 2 social networks, various marketing businesses, a personalised clothing company, an African content producer, and a huge online gaming company. How did you go from MTV to this incredible portfolio of different non-exec roles?
One of the things that happened when I left MTV is I emailed the entire address book, as you do, and said, I'm leaving. And that was the best marketing shot I ever did, actually, because obviously about a third of them bounced back because they didn't work, but quite a few people contacted me. And MTV had attracted quite a lot of mad entrepreneurs to come and talk to us anyway. So I knew a few people, and they said, great, you're out here, maybe you can come and help us. So I got to know a few of these people just like that.
What do they want from you? Do they sort of expect you to pass on the secret of how media companies work?
I think a big part is how companies work, actually, and also how you scale companies. Because with the people that I work with, the key, what we're all trying to do here is scale businesses reasonably fast. And the ability to scale, the biggest company I'm involved in is a German games company. We've gone from 100 to 900 people in 3 years. And that was very similar to a trajectory I saw at MTV, right? And understanding the organizational requirements actually turns out to be one of the key things in the middle of this, which is how do you organize a company with 900 people differently from one with 100? And I've had that experience, I've seen it myself. Now, it happened to have been at MTV. The advantages in that context is it was a creative company, so there are issues about managing a creative business which are consistent. But I would actually say that anyone who'd been with a business, with any business that had scaled from 100 to 900 people would see many of the things that I've seen.
What is your business model? Do you take equity or a salary? How do you actually make this work?
So I worked backwards actually from how much do I need rather than how much can I get and what am I worth or what do I think I'm worth. I have no idea what I think. I mean, I'm hopeless at measuring myself financially. I don't know what I'm really worth, but I work backwards from what do I need, at least to pay the bills, and then the idea was to create a range of a portfolio of businesses where I got a mix of some being paid on the bigger ones, but the smaller ones, understanding that small companies, whatever I think I'm worth, they probably can't afford it. And I maintain it's not a good use of their money. So I take equity. So the idea is the smaller companies, I'll take a slightly bigger share than the bigger companies. The bigger companies will also pay me a little bit as well. And hopefully what I can get from the bigger companies is enough to keep me alive. And then obviously the long-term interest of this is that my interests are aligned with the founders and the institutional investors, that we're trying to create long-term company value, which will crystallize by some form of exit.
And does the business model work?
Yeah, I mean, we had obviously my mental business model, which I cooked up, was that I would attempt to do what it would work if I did an exit about every 4 years, roughly given the size I thought I could achieve. And I've been doing this for 5, well, probably 4, realistically 4 and a bit. And got the first exit last year, big games company, the one that scaled to 900 people. And it was, it's a hot sector. Online games are a very hot sector. There's some very highly valued companies, and this is an excellent company. It's a truly good company with a truly good entrepreneur who built a fabulous business. And the investors who'd come in at the same time as I came in, they made a very decent return on their money. So they made, a good return on their money. We brought in some new investors now to scale to the next level, and I've actually stayed involved.
A board role is very different, do you think, in small growth companies as opposed to large established ones?
Well, I'm not on the board of a large established company, so I'd be the wrong person possibly to respond. I'm on the board of a quoted company, but it's still quite a small one. Look, my experience of being on the board of a quoted company in Germany is clearly there are lots more formalities to how the company is operating, and but there are shareholder responsibilities in both cases. They're slightly different because one's the diverse groups of shareholders, and most of the companies I operate, the shareholder I know personally and sits at the table with us, so it's very much the same thing. But I regard my role in most of those things as similar in the sense that we're trying to create value in the company in both places. So for that perspective, no. But I think I've slightly avoided the bigger companies because I see my role as being slightly more executive than non-executive. And I've described myself historically as semi-executive, which is not the same thing.
What does semi-executive mean?
Non-executive to me largely means you're turning up for the board meetings. Semi-executive means that you're actually in there a bit more than that. And actually you're giving them more advice, sometimes not just to the CEO, but to other members of the management board, or even more deeply into the organization, and really working with them as a team to deliver their thing.
What advice would you have for someone interested in putting together a portfolio of non-executive roles?
I think the first thing I would say is have a time for there's 3 to 4 years. Think about that before you're even going to get to anywhere near a cruising altitude. So you've got to give yourself lots of runway here, and if you can't, dare I say, afford that, then that may be a problem already. So think about it's a real investment. Actually, you're building a business. The business happens to be yourself, but you're building a business from scratch, and it's you. And what that means is you need to invest in it. And investment means time, so several years. Building a network, because as I said, I had a reasonable network at MTV, but nothing like what I've got today. So I've been fairly assiduous about getting out to meet a lot of people. You don't know where the opportunities are going to come from, and I think you've got to see and know a lot of people. So I think that's the second, is going out and part of the investment is investing in that. You know, I do a lot of lunch. So invest in people and relationships, invest in time, and I think also I've given my time away for free quite a lot in all sorts of different ways, which is the way I describe that is being user-friendly, I think. So I try and be as user-friendly as possible. I said to someone the other day, there is a fine line between being user-friendly and being taken advantage of. And I'm sometimes conscious of that. And sometimes it steps the wrong side. And you have to be a little careful of that, because it's easy to get taken advantage of because you're seen as a good guy who'll do stuff for free, so people will ask you. But just be conscious of it, that's all.